besties, welcome back to another video. My name is Delaney. If you are new here, the time has finally come, and I say finally because I truly feel like January was like 4 months long. I feel like we've been in 2024 for like half a year now, but the time has come for our very first monthly wrap-up of 2024. I have the 14 books that I read in January sitting next to me, and I'm really excited to talk about these because I've had some good ones. This month has been filled with, I feel like, a really good variety. I crossed off a lot of books that have been on my TBR for a very long time. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're about to. I don't know, I just feel like this was a really productive reading month, and not productive in like the hustle culture sense because I hate when reading gets taken over by productivity, but productive in the sense that I feel like I crossed off a lot of bucket list books that for me were really weighing on my mind that I knew I wanted to get to. I just was never in the mood for them. I feel like I finally was in the right mindset for them, and I read them this month. Now it's time to talk about them, and I'm so excited, so we're just gonna dive right in. If you can see like the blue around my nails, I had my nails painted blue, and then I tried to take it off, and I was quickly reminded why I don't paint my nails blue, because it looks like I have like no circulation in my fingers. So I'm okay. If you see my fingers looking purple, I'm okay, I promise. It's just nail polish. Thanks for worrying about me though. So first up is the book that I'm probably the most proud that I got to, and it's a book that's been on my TBR forever. A Little Life. I finally read it. This book is long, very, very long. It's over 800 pages, and I honestly, don't come for me, I'm so sorry, but I was really underwhelmed with this book. I've heard so many people talk about how this book like tore their heart out, this book sticks with them, this book is something they'll never stop thinking about, and like I get that partially, but I also like didn't feel that way. I loved Jude. I loved the themes of friendship in this book. I loved the themes of parenthood in this book. I loved Harold. I honestly feel like this could have been cut, like a quarter of this book could have been cut out, and I would have enjoyed it more. Do you know what I mean? Like when things are talked about in books and you're like, that would have hit so much harder if the lead up wasn't so long. I don't know, like the emotional moments, they were big and they were impactful, yes, but I was so tired of reading the story at that point that they didn't hit me as hard as I think they would have if the book was shorter. Is that making any sense what I'm saying? I feel like this could have been like a 600-page book. That said, I did enjoy it. It is a book that I feel like I will remember. It's a memorable book. I gave it 4 stars. That feels kind of like a generous rating for me. I think it's more like honestly in the 3.5 rating, but the fact that I will continue to think about the characters, like I do feel like 4 stars is fair because it will be memorable. It is a book that I would recommend to people that are looking for a heavier, longer book. I don't know, maybe just don't put the pressure on yourself to read it in one sitting, like maybe space it out. I don't really know. I feel like there's so much that happened in this book while nothing happened at the same time. I really don't know how to explain it. I didn't dislike it. It's sounding like I disliked it. I didn't dislike it. It just didn't wow me. I think it's the build-up that set me up for a letdown. 4 stars. Then I moved right into another book that I've been meaning to get to forever, and that is Divine Rivals. So this one had a better outcome for me. I was pleasantly surprised by this one. So I read Fourth Wing not too long ago. I vlogged the whole thing, so if you want to see all my deep, dark thoughts on a spoiler reading vlog in Fourth Wing, I have that up. After reading Fourth Wing, I thought that maybe fantasy just wasn't for me. I was kind of discouraged. I was like, I used to love Harry Potter and I used to love the Hunger Games so much. Why could I not get into the world building? Why could I not enjoy this? Because Fourth Wing I felt like was going to be like adult Harry Potter, basically. I didn't have that same experience at all. I have read Shatter Me, and that's a dystopian fantasy that I have enjoyed, but overall I was like, maybe I'm just not a fantasy girl. I picked up Divine Rivals. I think this is technically a YA fantasy, but it didn't feel YA to me at all. I loved this book. This book is about Iris and Roman, and it's set in history, so kind of like in war times. They're in a war, and there's like mythical godlike creatures. I don't really know how to explain fantasy. I'm such a fantasy newbie. You know the words I'm using are not going to be appropriate at all. So if you're a fantasy reader, don't come for me. I'm so sorry. I'm still learning. But it is a war setting, and these two, Iris and Roman, have typewriters. They're both reporters, and it's kind of like an enemies to lovers moment where they do not get along at first. They butt heads. They're actually vying for the same job position at their like journalist company. They're vying for the same job position, and so they're kind of butting heads, but come to find out they have magical typewriters that basically send letters back and forth. So they're forming a really deep connection through these letters, but Iris doesn't know that she's writing to Roman, her workplace rival, basically. I just loved this. I loved it so much. I was so captured by the story. This was amazing. I gave this 4.5 stars. I have Ruthless Vows on my shelves and I'm excited to get to that one next month. That's book 2. Then I read a romance by my favorite girl, you know, Abby Jimenez. I read The Friend Zone. So this is book 1 in the Friend Zone series. A few months back, I accidentally read Life's Too Short without knowing it was book 3 in the Friend Zone series. So I'm kind of working my way backwards now, and I have book 2 on my TBR for February. So we're gonna get there eventually. I just kind of read them in a wonky order, but that's okay. I thought this book was super sweet. I really, really enjoyed it. I like, as always, how Abby Jimenez captures darker, not darker, but heavier themes, heavier elements, while still remaining true to like her rom-com genre. I don't know how she does it, but it's like, it's so deep and meaningful and emotional that I want to cry, and I'm also laughing on the next page. So this is about Kristen and Josh. Kristen is planning her best friend's wedding, and Josh is the best man in the wedding. Kristen is freshly out of a relationship. She's struggling with fertility and her health. Her and Josh basically meet and start to form a connection, and it's really sweet. It's really good. It's really fast paced. I read this in like 2 days and it was so good. I liked it. I will say the ending felt a little bit rushed and a little bit predictable. So I did only rate this 3.5 stars just because I wasn't completely in love with the ending, but that does not mean I didn't like this book at all. I definitely would recommend it if you're looking for a romance to just kind of read quickly, that's fast-paced, it's going to feel good to read. Just because I didn't love the ending doesn't mean I didn't like this book and wouldn't still recommend it. I definitely would, but 3.5 stars for this one. Then I read 2 poetry books. So the first one is How Far You've Come by Morgan Harper Nichols. This was cool because it was like prose, poetry, and like little autobiographical moments where she was talking about her experience as she traveled the world. This is like divided into chapters or sections, I guess. And each one is for a different place that she traveled to. I don't know, the layout of this was really cool. The artwork, as always with Morgan Harper Nichols, was super cool. The words were beautiful. Her poetry is beautiful. She's one of my favorite poets, so I cannot rate poetry for the life of me. I just can't. Books in general are subjective, but poetry in particular feels so personal, so I can't give this a rating, but I did really enjoy this, and I highly recommend checking out Morgan Harper Nichols just in general if you like poetry. And then I was on a poetry kick, so I read Pillow Thoughts by Courtney Peppernill. I didn't enjoy this one as much. When I reviewed this on TikTok, I said it felt just a little bit younger than what I was looking for. Like maybe it's directed at a younger audience, or maybe the author's younger, just more inexperienced. I don't really know. I didn't fully resonate with this, but again, poetry feels so individual and so personal that you could totally resonate with this. It wasn't bad by any means. I don't think it was bad. I just wasn't really connecting with this one as much. So again, feels impossible for me to rate poetry, but those are my thoughts on this one. I always pause mid-video and make sure I'm not recording in 0.5 speed because I've done that so many times, and I get to the end and there's no sound and I'm like in slow-mo and the whole video is ruined. So I always have to pause and check, but I think we're good. Then after that poetry kick, I read, spoiler alert, my favorite book of the entire month, Mile High, and this is book 1 in the Windy City series. When I tell you that I got the 5-star feeling like 20% into this book, I mean that. I went online and I ordered every single book in the series plus pre-ordered book number 4 without even being 100 pages into this because I was so in love with it. I sat on my couch one weekend and I just read this book nonstop. It's all I wanted to do. I went to run errands and get groceries for the week, and I was like putting stuff in my cart wanting to get home to read this book. So good. This is a professional hockey player romance, and I normally am not a huge sports romance or hockey romance person, but I loved this. I loved the characters. This is about Evan Sanders and Stevie. What is Stevie's last name? Stevie Shea? Ryan Shea? Shea? This is about Xanders and Stevie, and I love them so much. I love him. He has like such a rough exterior and he puts on such a front for the media, but deep down he's like such a sweetheart. He talks about his mental health. Like he is so soft and so warm deep down, but like the exterior he presents to the media as this professional hockey player could not be more different from like his good heart. And then there's Stevie, who is just amazing. She's real, she's down to earth. She struggles a lot with body image and body confidence, and I love that those aspects were included in the book because I'm someone who has also struggled a lot with body image and confidence, and that has really impacted my romantic relationships as well, so I could totally relate to her struggle. I thought Stevie was just so realistic and so down to earth and real and honest and relatable, and I love this book so much. I love how Xander's dealt with her body image struggles. Oh, it was so good. Do I even have to say it? This was a 5-star read for me. I cannot wait to get into book 2 and 3. I'm waiting for the physical copies. I actually ordered them from the UK because they were cheaper for some reason. So don't ask me why. I did though. So they're on their way from the UK. I cannot wait because I'm so excited to dive into book 2. Book 2 is actually Stevie's brother, who's a professional basketball player, and Stevie's best friend. So I'm so excited for this. I love this series already. Then I finally got around to reading None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I checked this out from the library. I placed a hold on it months ago and it finally came in. So I was really excited to get to this. I partially read, partially listened to the audio because I heard such great things about the audio and I wasn't disappointed. It listens like a podcast kind of. I don't know, the audio is just so well done. It's maybe the best done audiobook that I've ever listened to. I thought it was really good. The story itself was true to Lisa Jewell in the dark and twisted, like, your jaw will be on the floor. I was like absolutely shook at the ending. I thought I knew what was gonna happen. I thought I had it down. I did not. She goes darker than you can even think, darker than you can even imagine. Lisa Jewell's mind is a twisted place, let me tell ya, but it makes for good reading. Honestly, I don't know what I felt like was missing in this book. I just didn't love it. I've heard so many people that are like, this is the best thriller I've ever read, and I just didn't have that feeling. Did I enjoy it? Did I read it quickly? Did I have a fun time? Yes, absolutely. Is it a thriller that I'm going to be like, that was one of the best thrillers I've ever read? No, honestly, it wasn't, and I was expecting it to be. I gave this 3.5 stars. I feel like that is just kind of naturally where it landed on my scale. I just felt really confident that this was a 3.5 star for some reason. I enjoyed it. It was good. It kept me entertained. It like gripped my attention for sure, but it just was missing something for me, and I can't even pinpoint what that something was. It just was a feeling. 3.5 stars for this one, but if you're going to read this, I highly recommend the audio. I really, really do. And then I read 3 short stories. So some really popular authors, Christina Lauren, Abby Jimenez, Ashley Poston, Sally Thorne, there's a couple others. They all came out with a Amazon series of short stories for Valentine's Day. I think it's called The Improbable Meet Cute. I think there's 6 of them. And I read 3. So first I read The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I didn't love this. I would say the majority of the book is written in email format, which I normally like mixed media in a book, but I just didn't love this. I didn't love the way it was done. I just didn't love the plot, to be totally honest. I didn't love the whole concept as a whole. So that mixed with it being a short story and I couldn't fully connect to the characters like deeply. I gave this 2 stars. I don't think it was bad. I wouldn't really recommend it. I thought it was just okay. And then after that I went into book 2, and that's Abby Jimenez's short story, and that's called The Worst Wingman Ever. This one I thought was really cute. I liked the plot of this a lot. I thought it was flirty and fun and really unique. The characters were sweet. I liked this more than I liked Christina Lauren's for sure. Still though, it's a short story. I can't fully resonate or connect to the characters and the plot the same way I would in like a novel. So 3 stars. I did enjoy it, but at the end of the day it's a short story, and I feel like 3 stars, 3.5 stars maybe are kind of like my cap on short stories. I don't know. I didn't expect a 5-star read from this, but it was really cute. And then I read Ashley Poston's, and that's With Any Luck. This one, same thoughts as Abby Jimenez. It was really cute. It was short. I think this one was under 50 pages, so super duper short with this one. Another 3-star for me. Then I read a spicy book, and that is The Nanny. So if you haven't seen this book, it's been all over Book Talk and BookTube. I was really hesitant to get into this because I knew it was going to be super smutty, and I'm not someone that loves, I don't mind smut and spice, like I do enjoy it, but I don't like when that feels like the whole book. And the whole premise of this book is this woman gets a job for a single dad as the nanny for his kid, and come to find out he was a subscriber to her OnlyFans when she had an OnlyFans, and they had a connection over that app in the past. So with the OnlyFans being such a big part of this, I was like, I know this is going to be super smutty, and I was kind of concerned about like the objectifying of women that could have been done, but I actually thought this was really sweet. Like, don't get me wrong, definitely spicy, definitely a lot of smut in here, but it was sweet at the same time, which I think is sometimes hard to do. Sometimes hard for authors to have the spice while still having the sweet, heartwarming story, and I think this did it really well. And another thing is, I normally do not like kids in books, but I really liked the daughter in this book. I thought she was really cute. I liked her a lot. This was super sweet. I honestly enjoyed this more than I thought I would, so I gave this 3.5 stars. Really not a book that I think is life-changing, but it is a really cute book, and it's a quick read too. I liked it, and I think this would be great to read in February if you're looking for like a February Valentine's Day-ish romance book rec. I think this would be a good one. I started this video and I said 14 books. Where did I get 14? I definitely have 13 on my list right here. Am I forgetting one? I don't know. Then I have The Way I Am Now. This is another book I had a hold on at the library, and it finally came in this month. So this is book 2 to The Way I Used to Be, and this deals with really sensitive topics of sexual assault and abuse, so definitely beware. But if you've read book 1, you kind of know the premise of this. This is kind of a follow-up redemption story for the 2 main characters in book 1. So this almost entirely follows Eden and Josh and their romance, while Eden also like deals with the court case and the trial and everything going on with her sexual assault case. I enjoyed this book, I really did. I read it quickly, it kept me engaged. Didn't wow me though. I thought it was just okay. That's really the only word I have for it, is it was okay. And to be fair, I felt the same about the first one, so my expectations like weren't through the roof, and it pretty much met my expectations of like, it was good, it was fine, it was okay. 3 stars for this one. It was okay. That's my review. That's the whole review. You guys, I'm missing the shining star of this thing. Where did I put this book? Literally the book I wanted to talk about most. Hold on. I got it. All right, last but definitely not least, the Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. And I know you're like, what? I thought that book wasn't out yet. Pinch me, literally a pinch me moment. I got the arc of the Rom-Commers. This doesn't come out until June, I believe. And I was able to read it early, and you guys, let me tell you, it didn't disappoint. Catherine Center has done it again. I adore her, and I didn't think it was possible to love her anymore, and I do. So this is basically about Emma, and she's an aspiring screenwriter, but she's kind of had to put her dreams on the back burner to care for her dad. And her best friend calls her. He is like pretty high up in Hollywood, like he works with screenwriters a lot, and he calls her and he's like, we need you to work with Charlie Yates, who's like a super successful screenwriter. He tried to write a rom-com. He normally writes like sci-fi and thrillers, and he tried to write a rom-com and it is awful, so like, we need you to help. So after convincing from her family, she decides to go to LA and help this guy out. She gets there, come to find out, Charlie Yates did not want her to come. He didn't know she was coming. He's like, get out of my house, I do not want you here. But then, this isn't a spoiler, this is all like literally in the blurb. But then he ends up agreeing. There's a forced proximity moment because she's like staying with him. They're working on this screenplay together, and yeah, it's a romance, you can imagine. But this book wasn't predictable. Like, as I'm saying the plot, it's like, it was a romance, you can imagine what happens. It didn't feel like that. It didn't feel predictable. It didn't feel boring. It kept me on my toes. The banter, as always in Catherine Center's books, like I was literally giggling reading this in bed. The banter is just amazing. Catherine Center, I feel like, and Abby Jimenez are similar in the way that they can cover deep, meaningful topics that make you want to cry on one page and then have you like giggling, kicking your feet the next page. I loved this book. I really did. It's one of my new favorites of Catherine Center. Like, it's up there in probably the top 3 of her books for me. And I normally don't like the Hollywood trope. I don't like the famous people trope. It was so good. And a little fun thing, if you read The Bodyguard, Jack Stapleton from The Bodyguard is mentioned in this, and I love when authors do that. Taylor Jenkins Reid does it a lot, and I love when authors do that where they like have the same universe and crossover characters without like it being a essential part of the plot. Like, you don't need to know Jack Stapleton, but if you read The Bodyguard and you're reading this, you're like, I know you. I know where you're coming from. Long story short, you need to get your hands on this. I vlogged my entire reading experience, so you're gonna get all the thoughts and feelings on this in a vlog coming soon. I highly recommend pre-ordering this. You gotta read it. I just love Catherine Center so much. I love her work. I love her writing. She's just the sweetest human too. Like, she's so kind, and yes. I love this. This was a really solid 4-star. I want to give it like 4.5. If there was a 4.25 and that didn't feel like too specific, I would give it 4.25, but for the sake of keeping it simple, I'm going to say 4 stars. Definitely worth the read. A great romance. I love Catherine Center as always. All right, y'all, those are all the books that I read in January. There were some good ones. I feel like we had a super great variety, a little thriller, a lot of romance, a touch of fantasy, some literary fiction, and we crossed off books that have been on my TBR forever, so that feels really good too. I'm super excited for February. I posted my entire February TBR on my TikTok, so make sure you're following me there. That's where I post the majority of my book content, TikTok and Instagram, but make sure you're following me there because that's where you get like all the nitty gritty of the book stuff. And then here is more like we hang out like besties and we talk. I like the long form content on YouTube because we get to just hang out together. But anyways, what I was saying is I posted my whole February TBR on TikTok and there are so many good reads in that. It's an overly ambitious TBR, very unrealistic, but there's so many good books I want to get to in February, so I'm so excited. There's exciting vlogs coming out. I just have so much planned and so many good books on the horizon and I'm so excited. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future videos and all the future good books to come, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, book besties. Happy February.